one Ornn. We saw a Haunter doing very well on the Mundo. We also saw him bringing out the Aatrox, which is really one of the most popular top lane carry picks right now. So going to be interested to see what kind of style they go there, and also the fact that Grig has been kind of more of a tank-style jungler, and Lyra does really prefer those carries, at least historically, when he's doing his best. So it'll be interesting to see if TSM wants to try to take anything away, or if they're willing to give that up, because most of the time, Graves is a pretty preferential matchup into really any of those tanks as far as the early game, as far as the pacing of that game, and giving Lyra an advantage against kind of a newer staged jungler like Grig could potentially be a problem.
And we've seen that TSM have had some small foibles in the early game. Their game against CLG, they were behind for a large portion of the early game. They found a good team fight and flipped it, but something that can be attacked. The Nocturne, by the way, the first pick here for TSM. The Graves is still up if Lyra wants it, but instant lock-ins here, clutch grabbing Swain and Rakan. And I want to point out, by the way, that Apollo's win so far, the split, is playing the Vladimir in the bottom lane. One of the few teams in NA to do well playing a non-standard bot lane or non-marksman bot lane. So something that we could see flexed around. We saw Bwipo, for example, play Swain himself earlier today in the bottom lane in the EU LCS.
And despite the fact that historically Grig has been much more of a tank player in Academy and in solo queue and these sorts of things, he is going straight to the Nocturne, so that's about as far away from a tank as you can get. The lethal tempo Nocturne has been absolutely tearing it up in pro play, has been extremely popular, and kind of paired with the Celerity Rune can be very, very good. You get move speed towards your feared target, so you hit them with the fear. That's proccing your lethal tempo, and then when that actually tethers and they do get feared, you get bonus AD from the Celerity, 20 AD plus the super high attack speed can really pump out a ton of damage, and it makes him a very strong duelist, as well as kind of that diver and team fighter too.
Enter the case here. So Morgana going to be picked up pretty quickly as well. TSM very aware of how scary Rakan can be. Morgana typically seen as a very strong laner against that champion. You can push in, you can black shield the knockups, but Clutch will be going for a very tried and true bot lane duo. Xayah coming in for Apollo, so 3 different champions for him so far in the split of Vladimir, Ezreal, and now this Xayah.
It was always Caitlyn Morgana that was kind of considered that answer over to Xayah Rakan, at least in the NALCS, all through spring split. Interested to see if Clutch is even worried about it, because Caitlyn really has fallen down heavily in priority with kind of the crit nerfs and all these sorts of systemic changes that have come through. Caitlyn is one of the lowest win rate marksmen in the game. So A, interested if they'll ban it out, and B, if it is not banned out, would Sven even want to play it, or is he just going to pair the Morgana with, a Varus or a Lucian or whatever else?
I guess we'll have to see what it comes down to, because right now, Clutch not aiming that as the ban right now. Cassiopeia instead a mid lane ban. It looks very likely that Fevin will be playing this champion, the Swain, to win team fights later on, and aiming at some of the mid lane counter picks. We don't know what Bjergsen is playing yet, but just adding to the list of mid lane bans. We're at 3 or 4 so far right now, and the Varus actually will be the removal away from Sven to push him off that champion.
Yeah, taking away the combo we just saw that CLG showcased last game, and I do think that the Mundo is such a smart blind pick for Haunter, because it works so well into tanks, and that's basically all that Solo really plays most of the time. So unless Solo wants to go something that is kind of much more of a hard lane counter, you can expect Mundo to have quite a bit of success. Cinch can be very effective against that Mundo in the 1v1, just kind of proxying and being fairly annoying, but Mundo can always farm against anything that is not like a hard lane counter. Like I'm talking like AD Kennen or a Fiora scaling or something along those lines. Aatrox can also be very good, but Mundo still can hold his own, at least in the early stages. If Aatrox gets ahead though, this is a dominating 1v1. It's one of those situations where the Mundo simply can't put out enough damage to actually stop the sustain coming through from Aatrox.
Ooh, Sven, shout out to his fellow Nordic bot laners there with the hover, but still waiting to see what's going to come through here. And looks like he'll be playing maybe his 3rd straight marksman pick. Kai'Sa and Varus, and now Ezreal. Sven's going to lock in and keep playing marksman.
Makes a lot of sense. I think that with the Morgana plus Ezreal, you're going to be very, very safe against any potential engage coming out. And you can note that Lyra is saving that last pick. We're not expecting this to be Aatrox jungle or anything super wild like that. So he is looking for a preferential matchup, and Bjergsen going with the Anivia here is potentially setting up for a pretty tough matchup here for the Swain. It can be very difficult for Swain to actually deal with Anivia. You put down your ultimate, you can actually block him out of the team fights with the walls. Swain really does need to actually close the gap, get in the middle of everyone to be super effective, and Anivia can be pretty good at actually pushing you back and stopping that.
So Skarning made a lock-in at the very end of it all. Interestingly enough, another champion has to kind of walk at you. There's very few actual dashes on the Clutch lineup. Those walls, and even just like the giant slow field, can really disrupt the Clutch Gaming team fights.
Yeah, Skarner feels very uninspired as a last pick of the draft against a team that already has Morgana, already has Anivia, two champions which are exceptionally difficult for the Skarner to deal with. Ezreal can also be pretty evasive, pretty good at actually creating distance and kind of getting away. You have to worry about the spell shield potentially coming out from Nocturne. So I think this is going to be a tough game here for Lyra if he can not get things going early. That being said, there are certainly good win conditions. If they can get that Aatrox ahead, he could crush the Mundo in the 1v1, but he's always going to have to worry about the potential of a collapse from Nocturne, because Nocturne, not only is he good with split pushers, he's super good against split pushers because he can come in out of nowhere. It's so hard to have wards to kind of catch him out, and he can shut you down, create that 1v1 and kind of turn it into a 2v1.
And this can be pretty scary. We'll see what comes through. Greg, the new jungler in for TSM, played Olaf and Trona before. Yet another fighter for him into this one. The 2-0 TSM takes on 1-1 Clutch Gaming. TSM looking for vengeance against the team that knocked them out in the quarterfinals. TSM also hoping to stay undefeated and temporarily control first place alone if they can be 3-0 to end this one. Otherwise, Clutch can drag them down in that tie for second. We'll see what comes through as we get ourselves into Summoner's Rift.
Having a good split here is going to be so incredibly important for TSM. After getting knocked out in the quarterfinals, they don't have a lot of championship points. If you want to get to Worlds, you have to have a strong split. You have to make a deep playoff run. And for Greg individually, every game he wins is solidifying his spot as a starter, right? He is competing against Mike Young for that spot. If Greg keeps winning, I expect to see Greg keep playing.
Absolutely the case right here. TSM had a very middling spring split in the regular season. They had a pretty good run towards the end, and again, that postseason cut a little bit short. So if TSM can come back to that finalist form, a lot of eyes on Greg for that one. This was the TSM super team at the beginning of the year. Wow, they brought over the best in the West, Sven and Mithy, and they did not look inspiring for quite some time.
No. And honestly, it's not all on them. It is how the team worked together or how the team did not work well together. A lot of that, definitely some jungle struggles. They talked a lot about trying to kind of incorporate Mike Young into the team and how he was working with different players and how that really just didn't pan out very well for them. So Greg, so far so good. 2-0 in his kind of LCS debut with TSM has been looking pretty strong.
Yeah, and he's got a 21 KDA so far in the NALCS, 4-1 and 17. So Nocturne tends to die a fair bit as a champion. It has to dive all in and builds almost all squishy, but KDA not the most important stat in League of Legends as they're going to fight over some Skarner pillars, and Bjergsen, 100% skill shot accuracy.
There you go. That's
He's
what
on
you like
form.
to see.
Ha!
0% for Febvin. Concerning. Very concerning. But Lyra going to be able to start leashless, whereas the bot lane is going to have to leash for that Nocturne, try to get him started. Lyra on the Skarner, with your Spires, you really can clear very effectively on your own. We'll be interested to see how he's going to actually try to play this out. If he really does want to try to focus on the Mundo, because if you can put that Aatrox very far ahead, that can be an effective way to kind of really snowball a game. But that being said, if you go top consistently and you fail to do so, well, the Mundo is going to be relevant even if he's just behind a little bit of gold. That's not going to be a big deal. You have to kind of crush him if you're going to invest those resources.
Go to the case, but we'll see what comes through later on in the matchup if you can outscale, lifesteal tank it, and make good things happen. All right, now the early push for the Clutch Gaming squad. TSM going to play back under the turret, but not missing any last hits so far, so not much of an issue here regardless. Ooh, unlucky, misses one caster, but 14 gold, not the end of the world. And now Greg looks for the blue buff steal, and sorry, it's his own blue, I'm trolling.
Stealing it from Bjergsen.
Stealing it from Bjergsen. How dare you take the blue from mid laner ever? In the LCK, he would be banned.
That's true.
That's not true.
That's not true. But either way, both junglers going to be clearing. Both kind of took opposite side scuttles. So very, very even so far. Solo is going to be able to kind of have the pushing advantage. But what I think that's really, really nice about Mundo is there are a number of losing matchups for Mundo, but he's so ridiculously good at last hitting under turret that honestly there's no excuse for ever missing CS under turret. With the combination of your E with the auto attack reset and the bonus damage, that lets you one hit a range minion. If that gets autoed, your Q also lets you. Oh.
Yeah, he just missed too. No, but you were right though. It was mechanical misplay.
It is mechanical.
It was human keyboard error. It wasn't actually.
There you go. But it's really like all jokes aside, yes, he goofed, but it's one of those situations where he's one of the very best at gracefully losing a matchup. So great, they picked a Darius or a Fiora into you. Well, you farm with cleavers, you play really safe, you last hit everything under turrets, and a lot of other tanks struggle with that. Someone like Ornn is so much more difficult to actually last hit with under turret compared to a Mundo, and that's one of the reasons that we're seeing so much of him, because you can blind pick this guy, and even the worst matchups aren't really that bad. You just kind of have to farm it out and play at range.
So far, yeah, he's down 2 CS. It's completely reasonable here for, again, a matchup that Solo counterpicked himself into. Said, yep, I'll play Aatrox into the Mundo. You blinded it. I'll take the best matchup that my team wants us to play right here. And yeah, he's pushing, but we'll see what comes out of that one. Right now, Skarner and Nocturne have been trading farm pretty close to equally, 7 camps apiece. I've been looking at what I might see out of Grig, and that ward is revealed, and he's not going to go for the control ward kill.
Yeah.
Not just yet.
Yeah, it would be kind of scary to walk up there if Grig is then in the bush. Yes, you know where the ward is, but that means they know where you are also. And face checking a Nocturne can be pretty risky. The pre-6 ganks from Nocturne aren't very strong, but if Nocturne can get a tether onto you, certainly has pretty powerful dueling potential with the smite and the spell steal.
Nice little bit of damage there from Solo, not taking turret aggro, but gets a little bit of damage off that Q, and he's pushing Hanser a bit down. He's out of potions. Still just going to sustain, and as you mentioned, Grace losing the lane, down 1 CS, is going to TP that'll make sure he can get his first buy-in.
Yeah, and you're a little bit worried about, hey, if I got Dove here, potentially that can be risky, because Aatrox is one of the best champions at actually going for these solo dives. When you stack up the passive, you have the built-in GA, so what would normally be a trade, you can get that kill, the Blood Boil passive brings you back up, and then it is just that 1 for 0.
Yeah.
But Hanser is healthy enough that he should be able to safely farm, hit 6, and then if he needs, he can just ult to kind of sustain in the 1v1. And Grig is moving on up here, so they're potentially looking for a gank, but
once he gets the blast cone, he'll be visible, but right now they don't know for sure that he's there, and never mind, just gonna wait for his jungle to come back, and we'll keep clearing. But it was kind of making sure that Haunter wasn't getting dove, right? He's hugging that side of the map, making sure that everything's okay. It all was.
I'm also gonna be interested to track kind of what build that Solo is gonna go for. The most common by far really has been Titanic into a Rage Blade, but I tend to think Blade the Rune King is so effective against Mundo that it's often worth, if you are trying to go for a full-on split push, itemizing more quickly towards that. Even something like a Tiamat into the Blade of the Rune King can be so good, and then you can kind of complete the Rage Blade and that Titanic later on.
Pretty close call right there. Apollo nearly tagged by that binding, but gets away with it all the end. I'll also point out he has gone lethal tempo as well, and will have, again, team fight damage output. That didn't work for CLG last time around, but not so much Six Days' fault. Yeah. Nice play. I like that, though. It's partially reading the Morgana's mind, where you're like, hey, they're going to usually put the puddle down when we try to do the recall, so let's make sure we stand more than the diameter of Tormented Soil away from the front of the brush. And that was kind of correct right there, so not stopped. It'll be a pretty simple recall and a walk back for Apollo and Hakuho. BF sword in inventory, so we'll see how similar his build looks to Double Lift, where he had gone for a couple of BF swords into Rapid Fire Cannon and then sort of finished out the crit. We'll see what comes through for him.
And Solo looking like he's not going to be going towards that early Blade of the Rune King, at least not yet. He does have that 1 Ruby Crystal. I have also seen, Tiamat into Black Cleaver, into Bork, or Rage Blade. There are a number of different options, but if you are itemizing more heavily for the 1v1, there's just nothing that's better than Blade of the Rune King plus Executioners against Mundo, because there's so much healing, so much damage is dealt by that percent HP. The lifesteal in combination with your blood price active is going to be really nice. And we'll see how they're going to be able to do that, because I do think it could be pretty tough if you get to the 5v5 on even terms, for some of these melee champions or short-range champions to be effective against the Anivia, against the Morgana, when you have the Swain trying to run forward and getting walled out, Skarner getting walled out, and all these sorts of levels of confusion that can be caused by the Anivia.
And now a battle over towards this. Level 6 for both the junglers. The Swain has moved first, but Anivia's coming now as well, so Bjergsen is here to defend. And 7 for the mid laners, 6 for the junglers. Control ward in that brush right now, not being cleared away. Lear's going to get rid of a little bit of this vision. And here comes the rest of the squad as Hansen now walking down as well. Solo could join when he needs to. He's in Fog of War right now, and now sees himself. The 3v3 will continue as Bjergsen gets rid of a control ward. And again, they are fighting for this one. It could be a smite fight. They're going to go back and forth. This one down to 800 health. He's going to get this one picked up, and it's smited over to Grig. Lyra incredibly late on the smite. Went down to about 300 HP. Never hit it.
Yeah, nicely done by Greg. So TSM really doesn't lose much of anything. You know, Solo had the push, so that's why they feel like they can make that play. The wave is shoved in, so that means Haunter is going to miss a couple minions of experience and gold. Not too big of a cost, and the fact that Greg actually gets the smite means it's a fairly positive play for TSM.
Again, they're just clearing waves back and forth down to this bottom lane right now. TP's available, but neither have been used. They actually both walked back to the lanes. Now Greg wants the top lane, has the ult. They want to make sure there's no Skarner around, and he's far. You see how far back Solo is playing now. Low on HP, does not want to take anything happen.
Yeah, low on HP, and the passive was expiring there, so he has to back off, knowing that Nocturne could be up there, and I believe Nocturne has... No, it actually wasn't spotted out, I don't think. Perhaps it was on the bottom ward there. Yes, it was now spotted out on that ward below the blue. The one on the blue was deactivated, but a nice secondary ward does catches, and that's perhaps what kind of tipped off Solo to go back. He's going to be working towards that immediate Titanic, so giving him a bit more tankiness. Is very effective, I think, more in kind of early team fights, and if you are going for the skirmishes, it's harder to really burst you down with that additional HP, and is incredibly powerful the wave clear, so you can kind of get access to those turrets more quickly. Yeah. But the actual dueling potential is certainly lower.
Yep, definitely index against, you mentioned, 4 wave control. Maybe for team fight power as well, his ability to maybe burst Sven higher on a build like this. But yeah, that split push, not what he indexed toward, and that lane will be just a farm fest, I guess, for a little bit longer as they sustain back and forth. This ward's going to die. Bjergsen gets himself the 30 gold, and once again looks to continue his festivities. That was supposed to be a play on Worth Festival, Anivia, and just gets rid of the mini wave yet again as we wait for Swain to walk back. So far, Bjergsen the better of the two birds in this lane with his 2 farm lead.
Yep, but the wave is pushing towards Feather, so he'll likely catch up and surpass. But either way, you know, it's very hard against a really good Anivia to make it anything more than just a farm lane. Yeah. And that's what Fevin is kind of going to be locked into. Bjergsen, as well as Sven, both going to be stacking up that tier. They're going to be happy to kind of play a pretty passive lane. But Hako looking for something.
Again, Black Shield on time, though Hako's really never going to reliably land those abilities. I think you'd have to see Mithy just away from his keyboard for that to happen, and didn't go for that right there. Takes a little bit of damage, gets traded back.
He wants to at least keep some measure of presence in the lane, though, and I think that's why he's going for it, trying to put on some pressure, trying to make them at least worry about any potential ganks or all-ins, because he can't just sit back and leave Apollo, you know, in that kind of 1v2 state. But at the same time, Lee are able to get something top lane, and now this is a way that they could really try to pressure the Mundo, try to look for that first turret on the top side, and if you could potentially get that first turret, get even that solo gold over onto the Aatrox, that is a way to kind of push him ahead of that Mundo and perhaps really start to build some advantages.
And I want to point out as well something, sort of team comp reliant here in this one. We've seen a lot of very fast games in North American LCS, and a lot of that is Baron being easy to kill, games snowballing pretty quickly, lots of wave clear a lot of the time as well. And this is a double mana item, right? Rod of Ages plus Archangel Staff. Anivia, pretty much the queen of delaying games. Everyone who remembers Froggen from back in 2012, 13 and onwards, very good at keeping games up for a long time. I feel like Bjergsen's going to be able to defend forever, even if they do get behind in the early game. Swain should be no slouch in that one as well, so we might be in for a much longer one here today.
Certainly possible. That's kind of an interesting interaction. So Solo feels like he has to actually pop his ult because he is worried about losing too much HP and actually losing out on that duel. But he is also respecting the fact that Nocturne could be there, so he never uses his Dark Flight. He never actually jumps in because he's worried that it also could be a bait. So it's kind of this back and forth dance where if it wasn't a bait, he could just queue in, he could win that duel, potentially force out a flash from Haunter, but he doesn't feel safe to do it because he doesn't know where the Nocturne is, and that's just showing respect to the other jungler, and that's kind of trying to play for a high percentage play. It's one of these little things that doesn't always really show, and in this situation it didn't matter, but in many others it will, and that's sometimes why, you know, these professional top laners aren't dying as much to ganks, because they're always kind of taking into consideration where these players could be.
So Apollo, to jump around to another player in this one, actually doing the exact same item order that Doublelift was in his Xayah game back over in week 1, which is BF, Pickaxe, and Dagger. Now that turned into a Zeal and like a Mercurial Scimitar before Infinity Edge. I'm very curious what Apollo wants to do for himself.
Probably Stormracer.
I expect that with it being buffed in this patch, but we'll see what it actually comes down to. Of course, these players all have their own ideas, and with all the games they've played, sometimes you find that crazy mad science stuff that you never would have expected.
Yeah, it's definitely possible, and that was an interesting situation because Double is back with about 900 gold, so you could argue, hey, he just wants Pickaxe for immediate power now, and then is willing to kind of sacrifice the slower build path for that, but could have also just been, hey, you're thinking about the old IE build path, right?
Yeah.
And both those situations certainly are available.
Speaking of available, blue buff handed over pretty painlessly to this Nivea, but Lira just doing a lot of solo clearing in the jungle. He's kept up in farm so far against Greg. Neither player's gotten any ganks off, but after taking the Rift Herald a few minutes ago, and that's going to time out about 1 minute now, also looking for this bottom lane Mountain Drake. It'll be slow, but with a bit of pressure out of the Clutch Gaming duo, they got a good chance. This one, Greg could try to make a stab happen, but he's not going to stay in range. That's why he's going to go over easily. And so 2 major neutral objectives have gone towards Clutch Gaming so far. Again, waiting for the Herald to be summoned for the actual benefit on that one. But so far, so good for Lira, keeping up in the jungle.
Haunts are itemizing pretty heavily towards what would be a nice 1v1 style build. You can see Bjergsen starting to really kind of pressure out Bevan, and as he stacks up his mana items, he will be able to get more and more of these trades and really start to kind of bully this matchup. It becomes fairly difficult for Swain. It's very dependent upon actually hitting your Never move and pulling him back in to disrupt the ult. If you can't do that, you really don't have much chance in that duel, but Bjergsen pushes out mid lane. Mithy roaming up, and they're looking to challenge for the blue.
And they're going to let Bevan land the Q to make that one picked up. Now the more damage coming through, putting him down to half HP. Nocturne pops the ultimate, but there's no one he can even see to go for easily, but he's trying to make sure his team is safe. Oh, Solo coming behind. I did not notice that one. Yeah, gets Dark Bound, has to run away, but now look at this one in the back lines there. It's Greg forced to run back, but this could be a quick kill picked up. They might force the egg. Now how about the rest of the damage? As they try to knock down Bjergsen for first blood, they're going to get that one. Gold goes over, and now the stun on a Mithy. That's going to be a quick double kill picked up for Lira. Solo rejoins the fight, no revive, but doesn't matter. The flash, their move not quite going to land, but Haunts are forced to run. He will pop the stopwatch, and all he can do is stop and watch himself die, as Herald's going to be summoned as well. 3 for 0 in mid turret, very likely to fall afterwards.
Yeah, Haunts are just waste the stopwatch there. There's no chance to get away with no health and no flash. And now they're going to lose first turret. That was an awful fight for TSM. Seemed like very split calls, even with Solo having to flash out and not able to actually really join the fight for quite some time. It's going to be 2 turrets perhaps here for Clutch, 3 kills to 0, and TSM playing so patiently until then. Seemed like they were really not on the same page.
Wow, almost getting a second one, and it does. Yeah, injured Herald's getting to keep pushing, and I believe because it last hit, local gold still went over to Lira as well, so extra money in the pockets. Clutch Gaming up massively this year, Ace of Predator replay.
Yeah, and here it is one more time. You can see early, Greg wants to go in with the ultimate. He's black shielded up, but there's a big hesitation here. Bjergsen is so split from the rest of the team. Now he goes in, but everyone else is running away. So Bjergsen, there's no way he's going to really be able to get anything done here. He's already egged. Greg has already expended his ultimate, so he has really nothing left. TSM is trying to kind of come up and save him, but at that point, you should have just bailed out. It was, essentially the situation where they split up so heavily, and they try to overcommit on this fight to try to make something happen from it when it was already a lost fight. Ends up costing them so much. 2 turrets, 3 kills, wasted summoners, wasted stopwatch. It's a rough one for TSM, but they do still have very strong team fight as the game goes on. They do still have, their members farming well.
Yeah.
And they do have a Nivea who, as you said, is really the queen of kind of delaying games. So we'll see if they can slow down the pace and make this gold lead mean less.
And I think TSM is a team that are known for doing this, making comebacks happen just canonically as a team and traditionally as a team, but also you saw their game against CLG just 7 days ago and came back from a roughly similar deficit. I forget the exact numbers, but not too far from this one. Clutch Gaming so far off to a great start, though. I mean, really, again, a 4th place team. Many people consider that somewhat of a fluke, but they are still looking pretty sharp right now, poised to go towards 2-1 as they now look for another invade. Lira joining the rest of the squad as they look for this red buff as a possibility. Equal level for the junglers, equal smites for damage output, and Greg again! Better smiting over the buffs. Well played, gets his own red.
Yeah, very nicely done. 2 contested jungle camps there. Both smites won by Greg. He wins at the blue, he wins at the red, and not the biggest of deals, but still certainly is going to feel good, and it always helps to build that confidence. I think, especially when you are behind, getting any little victory really does kind of boost you up in that mental game. And hey, if you're behind, you're more likely to have to look for a Baron steal, and that's going to make the other jungler nervous too.
Definitely the case here, and you're going to hope that Lira with suppression can make that happen. Not going to be spell shielded by Greg potentially. Now looking for the top side. They're going to go for solos. Could be very bad. Pop Seal jumps the wall. Still going to be feared and trying to run away. I think he might have the pass, but can't get the last shot to come through in time. Haunter grabs himself the kill. And that is a nice play up on the top side.
Yeah, nicely done there for TSM, getting a kill with Greg. They do trade it for a turret on the bot side, though. They've made the lane swap, so it's going to be Clutch just continuing to push. There's no one here to answer just yet. Bjergsen having trouble being out on the map because he lost his 2 turrets. He doesn't have that safety in Clutch. has all these wards in TSM's red side jungle, so maybe Clutch trading for a second turret, but Bjergsen is moving over. 4 members from Clutch are down here, though, and they could potentially look for a dive onto Bjergsen.
4 versus 2 with low
They're
health
gonna go.
bars. They're going to try. Here comes the attempted charm. Not going to get the knockup, but actually finds almost nothing. They almost kill him. Hawkwell, they're going to get him actually for it. And now it's time for some possible trade kills. They get Anivia, and this is not good for Dr. Mundo. He's not going to get to go where he pleases. He's trying to run away, but he's not going to do so. A double kill. 2 for 1 on that bottom side. They bought a few seconds, but lost more than they gained.
Yeah, and they get another turret as well. That's 2 turrets to 1 there for Clutch. They are playing the map very, very well. Solo should be able to easily defend this second turret, and Clutch really is getting a lot despite the botched engage there from Hakuo. They are maybe able to make this happen, and Hakuo looking for it. Just barely out of range, actually, of Bjergsen as he goes in. He gets actually, yeah, he gets walled out on the jump to Apollo, and that denied a lot of the range, but Bjergsen does get pulled in, knocked down. It is 2 for 1. It is the turret going down, and knocking down those mid lane turrets means so much less safety for the Anivia, not really having this place kind of sit back and clear it out. And you have to love seeing the fact that there is an early executioners on Solo. You know, they did buy a healing debuff there for the Mundo, which is so critically important. And smart itemization from Solo. We could see whether those daggers are going to be a Blade of the Rune King or potentially a Rage Blade.
Right, when it's on Rage Blade, we'll see what happens though, as now he's got to run away. Mythy gonna go for the ult and a flash to trade with it. Still a better cooldown for the TSM side, but with that member sent to top side, CG have control of the bottom river, and a Drake picked up this one. Infernal, that's still in the driver's seat here, 4,500 gold down.
And this is really the mark of a good team and a team playing a strong macro game is anytime pressure is happening elsewhere, you're losing something on one side, you're doing stuff elsewhere, right? It is not just Solo being attacked and nothing happening on the other sides of the map. They're very well coordinated, pressuring bot while he's being pressured top, taking the dragon while he's losing his flash. Those are traits that are always going to be very, very good for Clutch, and it's just a matter of can they continue to push the pace of the game? Can they continue to open up these advantages? Because as it stands right now, Baron is on the map. They are looking very good, but there are still a couple outers that they could kind of target first.
We'll see as the mid lane pressure comes in, and it's Apollo alone to wave clear, but with an ultimate, he's reasonably safe. Gets rid of most of the minions. Has to burn the ult to dodge away. Oh, he still gets time, and the re-engage might come through. Black Shield burned on Bjergsen. They can wait that one out. No, they're going to pop the knockdown to buy some time. Greg can actually flash away. He's afraid. This could be a very good fight. Can they get anything in there? Solo a bit low on health. Got to watch out for that one. They find the bind. They find the pullback. Mythy is down, and a nice stopwatch used by Peppermint. Stays alive. Pops the ult, deals some damage. Almost gets knocked down. Stays alive, though. In the 5v4, the chase back. Now a stopwatch in by Lyra as well. But the re-engage could be good. Skarner could be crushed, and he is. Sven finds himself the 3rd kill of the game for TSM. A 1-for-1 fight.
Bjergsen was such a monster in that fight, really demonstrating why Anivia is so powerful in a lot of these picks. In what looked like such an awful fight for TSM, where Greg had already used his ult defensively, got nothing, had to flash away. Mythy goes down. Bjergsen is buying so much space with the Anivia there, keeping Bevin and Lyra locked into place, getting the Zhonya's out, getting the stopwatch out, and still getting a kill. That was very nicely done, because that could have easily been a snowballed fight into a Bjergsen death, into a Baron, and here it is one more time. Apollo looking for the wave clear. Ult for the binding, but look at this timed stun from Bjergsen. Again, very nicely done. They go in for the engage. Great black shield from Mythy. We're over on the side. Greg has already used his ult, had to flash out, and this is where it's looking like it's going to go really bad. But look at how much space is bought with the Anivia ultimate. Bjergsen keeping it active the entire time, avoiding any potential CC, flashing to the side to actually avoid that interrupting his ultimate. If he gets pulled by the Never move, the ultimate cancels, and Lyra likely gets away or can even get forward and continue this fight. But Bjergsen just played it so well, start to finish. And it's funny, you know, he doesn't get a kill. There's nothing really showing up on the scoreboard there for him, but that was a game-changing fight. If he plays that worse, they get wiped, they lose Baron, game is over.
Absolutely beautiful stuff out of Bjergsen, one of the huge, probably the biggest player on TSM, and the ability to have these game-changing plays on dozens and dozens of different champions. I gotta respect him a lot for this one. A great Anivia game so far in a losing game, and of course it's still a losing game. 4,000 gold ahead is Clutch Gaming with a lot of these turrets down. Not a lot of safe spaces to go for the blue team here, as it's Clutch now taking away vision control, and TSM can see nothing inside this river. Baron easy to take as of the last few patches, and not risky at all. And you can see at any one of these times with almost everyone off the map, does this mean the Clutch are taking it? TSM have to face check. Do they walk into a Rakan? Do they walk into a Swain? Do they walk into a Skarner? Trying to get vision, make sure they're not losing anything.
Yeah, it becomes a very difficult game to play, especially when eventually you're expecting Solo to kind of add side lane pressure. Because he is going for the Rage Blade and not actually having some lifesteal built into his build with that Blade of Rune King, it does become a little bit more difficult to trade. Both people are going to have the healing debuffs, but Mundo, with that Warmogs, if you don't really get him locked into a fight, can back off, heal up, and you can do that with your W as well, but it is a bit more slow.
The minions trade back and forth. The wards traded back now, as well as TSM have removed the Clutch Gaming Vision and start to put a few wards down themselves. And that risk can be gone for a little while. Again, pushing the base is going to be almost impossible against the Nivea. It's the Baron you expect to see as the primary target as they trade farm back and forth. Apollo did go indeed for that Storm Racer into Rapid Fire Cannon. 30 is being started out. Now Solo going to have maybe a hard time as Hanser has his own Bramble Vest. He can actually make it very difficult for Solo to stay alive in those battles. And look at that, Solo actually pushed off the wave. A matchup he chose to enter into and now actually losing a bit of control in this 1v1.
Yeah, and then that's kind of some of the cost when you go for this Rage Blade. It is very expensive, it is very slow. Hanser already has completed a lot of these potential items, these really important items. He has the Warmarks, the regen, he built the Tabbies and the Bramble Vest. That is going to help him out tremendously in that 1v1. Rage Blade is now done though, and you really do have to worry about the committed all-in fight. Mundo still can potentially poke go cleavers, back off, regen up, continue to kind of do this sort of playstyle, but if you get to a committed fight, Mundo will not win. There's no way Mundo is going to win an all-in 100-0 fight, and that's really what he has to worry about. Plus, a potential third item, Blade of Rune King, still can come in and make that matchup that much worse for Hanser. And if he ever does go down in the side lane, if he does lose full control, that's going to make it so much easier for Clutch to then get to the Baron and really take over that game, because Solo wants to draw multiple members down and be able to fight them.
All right, now he's pulling away the Krugs. Hanser getting some pretty much free time down there. Solo says it's not worth killing that blue trinket ward. Not worth my time. Going to come and collect myself towards that mid lane. Looking for, again, the next play right there. Sven relying on Black Shield. Is going second tier, by the way. TSM happy to play a very late game style. It was tier row for the mid laner, double tier for the Ezreal. They are happy to wait around, and Clutch giving them that space. Again, to be honest, this lead has not moved in the last 15 minutes or so. Slight overstatement, but still a very similar mark for a while.
Yeah. And you can see Hanser now grabbing the QSS, just giving even less targets there for Lyra. There's really not a lot going on for him with this ultimate. If you can find Sven or Mithy without Black Shield on them, that would be great. Sven really would be the biggest prize, but there's a QSS here on Bjergsen, QSS on Hanser. Greg has the potential to spell shield that. Could be another potential target though if you can get him with the spell shield down, but it's not that easy for Lyra in between the Black Shield, in between the Anivia, and all these QSSs now.
All right, and Clutch going to maybe look for a Baron rush here. They gave away Cloud Drake, and all they got for it was ward control, and they're going to go for a bait instead. They're going to hope that they can get a face check, but blue trinket used by the Ezreal means, or somebody I should say, but something went down, and TSM knew it wasn't being hit just yet. Apollo clears the wave solo. He knows he has the team behind him. Mithy going to get rooted, not going to mean too much, but Black Shield is down, could mean an opening.
Yeah, they could actually look for a flash ulti with Lyra if they wanted to go for that. Black Shield will be up pretty soon, though, so not a huge timing window. And Hanser has moved over to help them get in there and really clear this out. So Solo is going to rotate up. They will gather back up as this five-man squad. Lyra taking a lot of damage.
Find a lot of damage. 1,000 health up on Lyra. Has to flash away from Anivia. That's an awkward one there. And now looking for the re-engage. Not going to find the kills just yet, but Bjergsen a bit low. The team, though, forced to disengage. TSM with the deficit, playing the map, playing the fight so much better.
Yeah, playing it very well there. Bjergsen, again, finding a catch. He does have to trade out his flash, which is pretty costly, but still is going to have a lot of protection with the Black Shield, with the QSS, and he is going up to the top side to push that out. TSM will have the top lane pushing for them. Clutch still will have this bottom lane pushing for them, and Lyra is moving back out on the map, so Bjergsen may have to head back and look to TP back out if Clutch tries to force anything now.
Clutch not going to be able to force much of anything.
Yeah.
They're just giving away the ground yet again. Hanser grabs the wave that was pushed down to the bottom side of the map. And it's interesting because it gives TSM so much time to work with the fact that there's no turrets here. The wave can be pushed for a while, and as long as they show up once every minute and a half or so, they've got that wave, no big issues for him, and yeah, holding up in farm.
And we're at a similar gold lead that Clutch had after that very first fight, where they got 3 kills, where they got the 2 turrets, and that was very early on into the game. Approaching 30 minutes, this gold lead does mean less. It is still meaningful, and the Infernal and Mountain are going to help out Clutch as well, but, TSM is getting into a better and better spot. They are scaling up very heavily. The second tier is stacking. Bjergsen is completed. The Seraphs, QSS are being purchased up. Haunter is not getting bullied in this 1v1. There's a lot of good things happening there for TSM.
Well, there is a big spike now for Clutch Gaming. Infinity Edge now done for Apollo. Per gold, crit builds are more damage than before the patches against 100 or higher armor. And the frontliners on TSM do have that. So he's better at killing Haunter than he was pre-patch, but almost everyone else actually in a better spot.
And one of those really scary things I've seen against this build is with the rapid fire, you have this long range Storm Razor guaranteed crit plus the rapid fire proc. That first auto on a squishy can be so much damage. It can actually be pretty shocking if you are not prepared for that. So someone like Bjergsen or Sven has to be exceptionally careful. Even someone like Grig, I mean, one auto that catches you with that guaranteed Storm Razor crit plus rapid fire can mean you're chunked down, can mean you're bursted out by someone like a Swain or the Aatrox if they're following that up.
Grig, of course, up the Dustblade here, and also has his own stopwatch. That is one of the two available for TSM. The Morgana has one as well, so those are targets to watch out for. QSS for the Clutch Gaming jungler. Lyra can get away from a bind or a stun of some kind if he needs to. Solo kiting back and forth, gets the bind onto his backside, and quick stun as well. He's going to Q away and stay alive, but that is a cooldown missing that might need to play around as they go back and forth for the wave control. Clutch push it in, TSM the same, and we have about a 25-second armistice. Haunter walks in, he is safe to do whatever he wants. Throws a briefcase, and Clutch just forced to run away. Solo still waiting in the wings, trying to find that opening. A stun not quite going to land. Ulti down for a second now for Bjergsen.
TSM has a big wave topside though, so that's something that Clutch is going to have to deal with. They're going to have to send Solo up there eventually. Like, that wave is stacking very heavily. The bot side is much more of an even wave, likely will push for Clutch eventually. But you can see Solo moving up to the top side. That means TSM gets to move in, gets to clear out vision, gets to reset, and continually try to slow this down, to delay this game. That's 4 pink wards now, all knocked out of there from Clutch.
Really easily buy time. Over 500 mana now on Sven's second tier, so getting there pretty quickly. And that next power spike comes in. Execution is, by the way, done for Sven as well. Will be good against that self-healing. Both the Swain and the Aatrox are known for that quite a bit. However, TSM needs to reset, so they're once again going to give vision control back over to Clutch. Getting rid of control, but not a lot of wards left in inventory means they can't leave a lasting impression down here. And it's going to be a fairly dark river. The recalls come through, looking at individual gold on players. Most of Clutch sitting on 1,000 gold. They're going to risk the Baron start right now. Again, there's money in pocket they've not spent. They're not actually ahead in items right now.
It goes down so fast, though, with the Infernal, plus the Mountain Dragon, plus this Rage Blade.
Nocturnal Pop goes for the smite, and he gets it again! 3 in a row for Grig. That is huge! For the fighter run, Smith is already dead. They try the second as well. This could still be a team fight win for Clutch. They chase down. Solo can revive. Haunter forced to run, and Sven is very, very low. Lyra once again can't find the kills just yet. A Baron is still better than 2 kills, but Clutch have to make use of this power play.
Yeah, Clutch need to get something done right now, but where do they even go? The waves are not in their favor. They're just going to have to reset. And the rookie, Grig, flying in like the angel he was for TSM, steals this one away. What a performance from him. He has just been so on point. They spot it now. It is getting burned down incredibly fast. They need to get vision for Grig. He gains the vision just now. In he goes, and I have to criticize Lyra on this one. That was such a late smite. It was down to 316. You have an 850 damage smite. You can combo that with something else. Like, Lyra should have been looking for a smite with a comboed ability at nearly 1,000 damage.
Right,
that got down to 300, and Lyra 3 times in a row, losing that smite battle. This one, by far the most critical, means that gold lead is going to crumble very fast for Clutch, and that's a game-turning play.
Grig making a name for himself on this roster now. The huge Baron turnaround, and this is going to be the reset here. Again, TSM, more money out of that play, getting a Baron despite 2 deaths. And with Baron buff on 3 of them as well, this will be a pretty easy fight. Infernal Break is up.
Double Infernal would be really big for Clutch, though. They really want this.
But they're giving it up. They were recalling away. They're giving up the map to TSM. Going to tie up that Drake's count right here. A smite again, not missed by Grig. Bot lane tier 2 falls to Haunter split pushing. Clutch Gaming have yet to find anything good for them for a while now.
That Clutch is really losing control of this game. You lose the Baron, the Infernal advantage is now gone, and you really have reached the late game. You know, this is now, that second tier is basically fully stacked here for Sven, so next time he goes back to base, he's going to be able to complete that, and TSM looking to close in here and shut this game out. They're looking.
Wants to find a target, but Bjergsen has QSS. Not a good target now. A knock up on a Hunt. They can get him, though, for this one. The burst is going to be there. A nice pickup on the side lane. That is something, but look at this, going too far forward. Lyra finds himself picked off. The wall comes in, forcing a flash out. A 1-for-1. That, I feel like, should have been cleaner for Clutch.
Yeah, certainly the case. Looks like some serious miscommunication. The paranoia was still up for Grigg, so Clutch, I don't know if they even saw Lyra moving forward, but everyone else from Clutch was running away. Lyra was running forward, and now Febiven trying to get things done.
4v4 looking for it. Can they make it happen? A flash not available, but a knock is going to be in there for 2. And it's going to be an egg for the mid laner. Febby in the front lines gets the first across. Just to lead Sven, and a third one falls as well. Clutch Gaming do get the fight they need.
And they're double TPing to bot lane. They're going to go straight for the inhibitor. Apollo and Solo TP in there. Febiven makes the big play. That is a triple TP. They're going to go for the end. This could be it.
30 seconds on some of the biggest respawns right now. Most of the carries are going to be there. This is going to be an inhibitor under attack. Easily that turret will fall. It's going to be one to watch for. You've got a 2 versus 3 in this push. It's all about the wave clear of Nocturne and Dr. Mundo. Looking at 20 seconds on Sven. Will it be enough? Keep the turrets alive. He pulled the wave. Haunter bought about 5 more seconds with that one. Pulls most of the wave. They're going to knock down one of these turrets. But again, Sven's only 10 seconds away. Grigg is here as well, and it will keep the game alive.
Yeah, Hawks are able to cut the wave. They didn't actually push him enough off of that. They needed someone to guard that wave more heavily. They needed to push him off before he got close. Instead, Haunter saves the game with that small play. But here it is. Febiven one more time sees his opportunity. Phase Rush is procced, goes in. Bjergsen flashes out, but look at Sven. Sven comes back in. Febiven sees he's in R2 range here, and he just gets exploded by that
Charmed
second
forward.
detonation. So nicely done by Febiven and Hawkwoe combining there for that huge amount of kills. They do get the inhibitor. TSM stays alive, but oh my god, that was a crazy set of plays.
And so as it resets, 5,500 gold separate these teams. The Drake's basically identical. A cloud for TSM, a mountain for Clutch Gaming. And now we get to watch as the waves go back and forth one more time. The items come through. Motor reminder in for Apollo going towards lifesteal for his last little piece. A quick silver sash that he can donate over. A Mikhail's Crucible in for Hawkwoe now on this side. And that power spike coming very soon for Ezreal. Waiting for enough money to buy an Archangel Sack. He's actually got to sit on tier for a while. So
Yeah.
a lot of gold he can't spend right now. That could be something that matters if another fight comes through soon enough.
Yeah, definitely the case. And the next one is going to be Elder Dragon. So you're going to have those double super powerful neutral objectives on the map, the Baron and the Elder. You can see TSM has their vision around that Baron for now. But it's going to be Supers pushing in the top lane. Aatrox down in the bot lane, trying to get pressure there. And with the inhibitor open, with one Nexus turret down, TSM has one lost fight left in them. If you lose a fight, the game is very likely over. So they have to be extremely careful now. They did stay alive thanks to some quick thinking from Haunter, but you know, this game really is on a knife's edge now.
The lead for Clutch, 66,000 versus 61. And waiting for the next opening in. Again, Bjergsen can wave through pretty well. He's still in that Anivia. Defense has been a good sort of game for TSM. However, with Baron coming up in 125, that's going to be there during the inhibitor death, during the sort of forced defense of TSM. Now, thankfully for TSM, it is the top inhibitor that is dead. It's the closest one possible to Baron. It is not hard to dance between those two lanes and stop a Baron push while holding your base alive. But there's only one Nexus turret alive. A bad macro play. Clutch can backdoor the base and end as TSM take Baron. These are the options available.
Yeah, and Solo getting stronger and stronger, has the Maw completed. Now he will not be going for a Blade of the Rune King in his completed item build, but certainly is going to be a force in that side lane if he can get a 1v1. Febiven and Apollo both ridiculously strong at this point as well. You know, 4 full item completions for them. These guys really are online, and as you pointed out, this is a crit marksman, so you know, dollar for dollar, gold for gold. Apollo will be putting out a higher amount of DPS than that of his kind of opponent here, Sven. But that being said, we know Ezreal can really be effective with the poke, really kind of frustrate those team fights.
And he's Seraph's done now. Sven finally got to that power spike, so a big surge of AP in for him. Only half a slot left. Execution to turn into Mortal Reminder. And similar vote here at just the Vamp for Apollo on that last slot. The Guardian Angel in for Grigg. He can dive that backline pretty safely. A full Thornmail. Haunter up to a pretty big 4 items plus the QSS. There are not a lot of good Skarner targets. We'll wait to see what happens here as Hawkwoe plays for vision control. And Baron Nashor has now spawned. Inhibitor down. And 30 seconds till Elder Dragon is up. Solo beginning to start this one.
Oh,
this is going to be the rush.
Fast. It might have to be try to steal potentially again. We'll see if they turn.
Using some of the reveals, and Solo just kind of soloing this, interestingly enough, looking for the poke back and forth. Haunter staying alive in the front lines. They find out that Skarner's lost some health. Damage comes back and forth. Again, another blue trinket used. They fight for Scuttlecraft. That one actually picked up by Sven. That's actually a really big bit of vision there. That Mystic shot woven through, and suddenly Baron Bait's not going to happen until Elder Dragon spawns.
It's gotta be so frustrating for Clutch. All these neutral objective contests they have lost. Whether it was the blue buff, the red buff, the Baron steal, the Scuttle steal, all these things, but they could look for a sneaky play. Sometimes the Scuttle Crab can give you false sense of security. If you can blast cone over the wall, if you can look for...
Oh, Apollo!
No.
He has flash, and he has a team around him. He's not going to fall for this one, but that could have been scary.
Yeah.
That's vision gone again. It's only the Scuttle Crab vision.
We also have to remember how easy it is to actually solo the Elder. So you can potentially send Solo down and have him just one-man that Elder. And TSM would still have to be respecting the fact that they could be going for a sneaky Baron play. And they're going to look mid lane now.
Bjergsen has QSS, though, and Sven can jump away. It's not an easy target here. Lyra's not going to get that one to happen.
No, that is the Righteous Glory expended. Not that long of a cooldown, but Solo is still staying around. And they're considering just trying to threaten running this down, and here it goes, starting it up again.
Notice alive, Morgana's on the wrong side of the map. He's gonna have to make a pretty big run to make it happen. Not a half HP on this Baron Asher. Solo is injured, though. He's gonna have to jump the wall, and he actually just lost his nullifying orb rune as well. He's gonna recall away. He has TP to get back in, but this now gives TSM control of this river.
Yeah, they've mismanaged this, and the wave is pushing in the bottom lane, so TSM will now just start this up. Solo's TPing back, though. This could be a 5v5 to decide the game.
The home guard move speed on. Lyra in the front line, looking for a target again. Can't find it. Good one. He's waiting for the play. What can they get for this one? A slow one, and Bjergsen pushed away, but it's so easy to keep that piece of the map controlled. A wall forcing to jump away from Solo, but he stays alive. But now mid lane can be pushed. Clutch can just go for the inhibitor.
They can push mid, but at the same time, there's no inhibitor tower defending that bottom lane, and a massive minion wave has built up for TSM shoving in there, so it's going to be Fevin going back to base. Clutch is actually pinging onto the Elder. They want to try to rush down this Elder, which is much less damage coming out from that than the Baron. They're going to start it up. TSM is in the area, and Clutch is split. I mean, you have Hawkwo trying to get vision at Baron, while three members are over here.
And they're gonna have to run away. Solo does have flash, does have Q, but has to respect what could happen here. TSM get an easy pickup, and Sven might just face check into the Aatrox and looks for his Reba for now. Actually, doesn't even know what he's gonna be running into, but looks like it's gonna be
safety. That bush.
Oh, Lyra wants in, wants to fight for that smite. Sven and a half HP. They can go for him. He's flashless. And there's the ultimate popped in. Look at the back, they're gonna go for the back line. They've got the egg, the resurrection now on the one. As now it's Mithy stuck inside that pit. Solo gonna revive now as Frigg. That was the one they had knocked down first, but now Bjergsen slowed down. Look at the plays. Sven gets the kill on a Solo though. It's a 5v4 for TSM. Haunts are very tanky in the front side, and the Elder Dragon still at 7,500. The pick up on that Scuttle is gonna go over to Clutch Gaming. They'll keep vision here for this one. But again, 5v4 is difficult. It's gonna be a hard one to win. The recall for Bjergsen, but he has to teleport to get back in. There's still a possible 5v4 for TSM side. He will teleport back in.
Could be another smite fight here, but the Dragon resets. TSM wants to guarantee they get this. Bjergsen has TP'd. He is coming back. He could wall them out, and they could look for a finish here.
Oh, fine. Fevin does have flash, so he's not an easy target just yet, and he can't find his route. 4,000 health, resets it again to 5k, 6k. And again, staying in that battle. It's helping actually Clutch do some damage, slowly weathering down. As Greg is flashless, he's guarding Angelus, and even the Scar Spire picked up is good for Lyra. We're waiting for his target. QSS up for most of the primary targets, though. No easy pickup there. Wall, another reset. 4,000 health again on Elder Dragon. Slow's gonna land. Bjergsen a half HP yet again. The flash forward. They find the vine, but the black shield comes in for Mithy. The spike fight on the side. Picked up for Lyra, and the battle comes in. Greg is dead. Look for Bjergsen. He's an egg now. This could be the fight that they win. They've got 2 kills already. Look for a third. Lyra can't quite make it happen as TSM now forced to run, but that could be a big one. Swain trying to chase in. Not quite gonna get it yet, but this is still a battle that Clutch has won.
Sven surviving, though, so critical for TSM. Him getting out of there means Clutch cannot even try to look for an end. Lyra finally winning a smite fight there, getting one back for Clutch, and so much of this fight depended upon that because this is a 4v5. Bjergsen using that wall, but the Dragon actually resets. They can't burst it down during the wall. They decide to try to finish anyway. Fevin is buying space on the side, and it is Greg versus Lyra. He gets the suppress into the guaranteed smite. Very well played there by Lyra, and Clutch is going to get the Baron here as well.
It's still free dead. There's almost no chance you stop this. There's no spot on the map. There's no way to get rid of this unless Zen makes a miracle steal, but no ult up, and Clutch Gaming get both neutrals. A huge turn of events.
And that was in a 4v5, so well navigated in that team fight. Playing very patiently, not backing off, and finding their window. And again, Clutch is back in the lead. Elder Dragon, Baron buff, an open inhibitor here too, but TSM has done a good job of playing from behind, playing with a deficit, and despite the big gold lead, I mean, we have a full build Sven. We have Bjergsen closing in on full build. This is a full build Haunter as well. The gold is meaning less and less at this stage of the game.
All right, well, Clutch now have a lot to work with. This is probably the best possible spot they could be in because gold's going to stop mattering, so the lead will only shrink from this point on. They have double buffs on. Elder is on, Baron on for 2.5.
Yeah, and the GA was purchased up here. The Bloodwell is ready for Solo, so he can have a 3-life team fight potentially here if Clutch wants to all in for this. And it looks like the strategy is going to be Solo mid, escort in those waves. Bot lane is grouping up and pushing on its own. Send 4 members of Clutch here top, try to pressure that open inhibitor and really try to peel apart TSM with the 2 minutes on the Baron buff.
And here comes the team. 4 of Clutch on the sides, Solo mid. See if they can knock down the old namesake here as Ven tries to wave clear and Anivia does it even better, but
no flash up here.
Back. Here, this could be dangerous. He's got no egg as well. That's the first inhibitor down as Aatrox rejoins the squad. All right, 1 inhibitor down still. Time is ticking. Elder Dragon will time out very soon. Actually, it looks like it may already have. Baron on for 145, looking at mid lane right now. But again, it's pretty easy for Anivia to kill a lot of these minions. Very little left to do. Nice couple of shots come through. Now a little bit of alone time. Look how fast that falls. Inhibitor turret gone.
The minions be damned. Apollo just straight up knocks it down. The bottom wave is still stacking up. The top wave is now pushing in, and we'll see what Clutch's move is going to be. They go back with the minion wave. They're going to try to escort this in to the inhibitor turret.
Looking for this one. A nice wall buy some time. Pippin alone. They could look for the hard dive on him. Of course, he does have Zonius, the hard one to go for. It is Swain after all. Not quite the knockup. Hanser forced to kite back, though. Inhibitor should be maybe given away. A pull in. They've got the kill. He's gone already. Look at the damage output from Apollo. The late game crits are in, and now the dive in. 5v4. Only 1 turret alive, and it will not stop them. The first revive comes through for Solo. Don't worry, he's got more where that came from. A second turret falls. Greg in the back line cannot find his kill. 2 for 0 to Clutch, looking for a third as Ven kites away. Lyra on the chase. He's going to pull him in, make it a third, a fourth, and it's only a couple left alive. That's going to be TSM wiped off the map, and Clutch getting their 4th straight win over TSM. 2-1 the record. What a game.
Incredible. Clutch just keeps on having TSM's number. Despite the Baron steal, despite a strong game from TSM, delaying. It's Lyra that comes out, smiting away that Elder Dragon, suppressing Grig during that, and they get the picks they need. They close out the game. Clutch looking so strong, and what a performance from Apollo and Fevivan. These carries for Clutch Gaming, both of them deathless.
Yeah, really nice stuff out of the back line, and Clutch looking very solid right here as a squad. A lot of good plays. A couple of smite fumbles. Sure, you can give some you know, alignment. My brain just stopped working there. You can kind of neg them a little bit for that one, but still, Clutch so much better as a team. Grig, he did, I feel like, everything he could. That miraculous Baron steal got TSM right back in the game, one that they were about to lose outright, but the second time, maybe you should have bought QSS, but again, he was still suppressed for it. You can maybe, you know, quibble that point there. Apollo's happy, a deathless game, scaled up pretty nicely.
And it's tough though, you know, Grig did have such a great game as far as the smite fights went, but that being said, the Nocturne wasn't super relevant in the team fights, despite the fact that Lyra, you know, didn't have great targets for his ultimate, was getting shut down by all these QSSs, getting shut down by the Anivia walling him out. He's still a tank. He still has presence in the fight and is a target to kind of draw some fire there, where the Nocturne was finding very little.
Well, for more on that game, let's send it down to Avli and one of the TSM's shards. One of the shards of TSM's kryptonite, rather.